Hello, this is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Allman. I'd like to thank Altice USA for providing the training for our crew and for the use of their studio facilities here in Hauppauge. The show is broadcast Mondays at 7:30 and Fridays at 5 o'clock on Channel 115. That's Channel 20 on Mondays and Channel 115 on Fridays. We're also shown on various communities throughout Nassau and Suffolk County, and even in the state of New Hampshire. In fact, we're shown on more public access stations than we have access to. I'd like to thank whoever possible for spreading Veterans News. Most of all, I'd like to thank our crew. On camera 2, it's Al Zabrowski. On camera 3, Loretta DeBrino. Our technical director is Robert Lane, and our director is Al Zabrowski. By the way, if you would like to ask me any questions or comments on the show, please use our email, veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. Today our guest is Joseph Brunner and Steve McMANUS, the commander and a past commander of the Nassau County American Legion. We'll talk to our guest in just a few minutes, but first, here's the veterans who died recently. William Palmer, who was in the Air Force, a traffic controller. Al DeChico, an Army veteran of World War II. Dr. Orsti Satali, who served in the Army as a captain during the Korean War. Herbert Greenberg served in the U.S. Navy at the end of World War II. Philip Leonard, another Navy veteran that was a retired policeman and a World War II veteran. Augie Abatello, a proud U.S. Army veteran. John Rickey, M.D., served as an Army surgeon in both World War II and the Korean War. Mohabar Neville, an Army veteran who served in the Vietnam War from 1970 and 71. Conrad Forrester was a proud Air Force veteran. Louis Perella was a veteran of the Army Air Corps who served in the China-Burma-India Theater in World War II. Don Nardone was a first lieutenant in the Army during World War II. Robert Selma was also a World War II Army veteran. Ralph DiLorenzo, he was a Silver Star recipient of the Korean War. Richard Fadum was a Navy veteran, and he was an inventor. Steve Hogan was a Navy aviation electrician mate. The last four relatively special. James B. Middleton of Locust Valley was an Army Air Corps veteran of World War II and a founder of an American Legion post in Nassau County that accepted blacks back when that was a rare occurrence. And he was a friend of mine. Do you remember James Middleton?
I remember that.
My two guests knew James Middleton. Sophie Sarro, who died at 103 years old. She wasn't really a veteran, but she was a real Rosie the Riveter. She worked at Northport Grumman during World War II. And newscaster Gabe Pressman. You remember Gabe Pressman from Channel 4. He served in the U.S. Navy during the invasion of the Philippines. And I just heard this a little while ago. Joe Labrizzi died. He was a submariner, and we called Joe the short guy. But Joe was very active in Nassau County. If you know a deceased veteran that you would like here mentioned on this part of the show, just email me at veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. That's the end of Veterans News. Now it is time for our guests. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ed.
Okay. You gentlemen are the commander of Nassau County American Legion and the previous commander.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, if I can just ask you a question, Steve.
Absolutely.
What did you do in the service?
I was a Navy corpsman in the service.
Navy corpsman.
Navy corpsman.
Where did you go?
Originally, I joined as a reservist in '96. I was assigned to
96. That's 21 years ago.
Yeah, 21. Yep.
Okay. Does it feel like 21 years?
Nah, it doesn't feel like 21
Yeah.
at all.
Feels like just yesterday.
Yeah, it definitely was yesterday.
Yeah.
So I was assigned to a Marine Corps unit. I spent 2 years there, and then from there I transferred to the Navy's it was called a MIUW, a MU. It was a Mobile Inshore Undersea Warfare Unit.
Your uniform, was it Marine uniform or was it Navy uniform?
It was actually with the Marine. It's actually the same. We wore fatigues in both units.
Fatigues.
Yes, camouflage fatigues.
Right. Okay.
You know, we just changed one side to the other. With the Marine Corps side, we were Fleet Marine Force combat. On the Navy side, we were assigned combat duties, but we were more port security. We would go in and secure port beachheads, separate from the beach landing units.
Okay.
But they now call it the Maritime Security Force, is what now they call it.
As a reservist?
As a reservist.
Did you go to?
I was activated a couple of times. I was activated on September 11th. I was activated for 1 week.
September. What did you do during that week?
During that week, we would just went down to the pile. We secured the outer perimeters. So just in case anything happened, we delivered COTS, MREs to various locations in the city where the city police and the city fire department were taking breaks and catching some sleep and eating something while they were working on the pile.
9/11, of course, everyone should remember that 9/11 was the day the Twin Towers fell down.
Right. After that, I was remobilized the end of October of 2001 to the end of November, where I served on Vieques Island. We were prepping the Navy's old bombing ranges for the future bombing of Afghanistan.
Right. Vieques is a fabulous place. I spent one weekend there when we were on a cruise back in 1971, I think.
Back in the heyday of
Back in the
roads.
Right. So now it's just a full-time target area?
Well, it was. It came off the, was sold back to the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico.
Oh, really?
And the Navy went in and did massive cleanup. And now there's actually a couple decent hotels.
Really?
It's now a tourist spot.
Wow.
So, and then from there I was reactivated in 2003, and I served in the Gulf region.
In 2003?
2003. February 2003, the beginning of the invasion of Iraq.
What was the invasion of Iraq like for you? Where did you go?
Mainly with the MU, I ended up being assigned to a unit that was fleet anti-terrorism. I was assigned on some of the ships. Went around the whole Caribbean, down through through the Mediterranean, down into the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
I had some time in Iraq, but not as much as most of the guys did.
All right.
I was down in a battalion aid station for a couple of weeks, and then went back to anti-terrorism on the ships.
Did you, as a corpsman at the time, did you handle any casualties of the war?
I had a couple of casualties, nothing too dramatic that they were seeing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mine were, minor injuries,
right.
Minor gunshots, but nothing no IED stuff or anything that
right.
horrific.
Okay, that was 2003.
That was 2003.
Did you get any experience after that in the combat zone?
No, it was between the battalion aid station and being transferred back to fleet anti-terrorism. That was it.
I'm going to ask you next about what you did as a civilian. but not yet. I'm
Okay.
going to ask Steve what his military career was like. Steve, you were a Marine?
Yes, sir, I was.
That's-
Originally, I enlisted in 1983. Which time-
1983.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out how old you are. You joined the service 10 years before? No, you joined in 96.
I joined in 96.
So 88 years before?
13. 96 to 83 is 13.
83, 13 years.
13
earlier,
years
yes.
before
Before me.
Joe.
Yes, I was a youngster. I was only 18 at the time.
And how old were you when you joined?
30.
30?
30.
Oh my God. All right, so you're about the same age.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so tell me about your military experience.
Listed in 1983, reported to Parris Island, South Carolina for basic training.
Right?
After that, I was assigned to 29 Palms, California for mobile communications
How
training.
was 29 Palms? I never went to 29 Palms.
Extremely hot, but it's a dry heat.
Uh-huh.
That's what they tell you. It's in the northern desert of California. And even in February, the temperature can get up to 103 degrees.
Really?
But as Marines do, we would run in 103 degrees.
Right.
And when you're 19 years old, it really doesn't
Right.
bother you at all. You just do what the gunnery sergeant tells you to
Right.
do. After that, I returned to New York, and I was assigned to 1st Marine Corps District on recruiting duty.
As a reservist
As a reservist on active duty.
on active duty?
Yes, I was given active duty status.
How
for that
long
time.
were you active duty?
I did that for another 3 months.
Okay.
Then I reverted to the reserve section of the house.
You were first. You went through your reserve training.
Yes.
And you were stationed in Camp Lejeune for 3 months.
No.
Where were you?
After that, after I was assigned to 29 Palms, I came back to New York,
Right.
where I was assigned to Garden City,
Right.
to the 1st Marine Corps Recruiting District.
Okay.
was
Sounds like
working-
you went over your 180 days.
There was always a break. There was a break of like a week,
Oh, really?
specifically, so I did not go over my 180 days in my reserve status.
Wow.
And then every 170 days, I'd get released from active duty for a day and put back on active duty.
Was this voluntary?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time, I was enjoying myself. I was a young 19, 20-year-old.
Right.
My job was to go to high schools and to help young gentlemen and young women
Right.
join the Marine Corps.
Wow.
I was a recruiter's aide at the time. So I was just having a great time doing that.
Right.
After a while, they needed me back in my reserve unit. So I reported the 6th Communications Battalion in Huntington at the time. Stayed on active duty, stayed in my reserve status. I joined the police department in 1986.
3 years after you joined the reserve.
Yes.
Okay.
My enlistment was supposed to be up in 1989
Right.
in the reserves. At the time I was engaged, I re-enlisted so we could have a military wedding.
Oh.
6 weeks, after I was married, my reserve unit was activated for Operation Desert Storm. At which time I reported to Camp Lejeune for 1 month.
That was in 1990.
Yes. December of 1990, I reported for active duty. And in January of 1991, we were sent to Saudi Arabia in support of Operation Desert Storm. Came back
Wow.
to the United States in June of 1991, and we reverted back to reserve status.
When you say you were activated for Desert Storm, what did you do actually?
Once we reported, we were assigned out to Al Jabail in Saudi Arabia. I was assigned to a logistical base in the port itself. I was
Okay.
reassigned as a sergeant in the Marine Corps to 1st Fleet Service Support Group, at which time I worked as a communications watch officer.
Mm-hmm.
We
Okay.
processed orders. We processed all kinds of different messages. We processed approximately 3,000 to 4,000 telephone communication messages using what is now known as the internet. At the time, it was just the teletype communications.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the fort, and that's when they came out with these new things called GPSs
Really?
that no one knew anything about.
Wow.
So we could do proper navigation in the desert.
Yeah. I wonder how the military has changed with the GPSs. I remember I was very good with the map, but I imagine it's a lot different now.
Oh, totally different.
Yeah, very good. So you didn't get shot at,
No, I had a couple of Scud missiles launched at me, probably 3 or 4 times.
really?
Thank God for the Patriots. It came right over and took care of them for us.
Really?
Yes. It was almost like
The
clockwork.
Patriot missile was the anti-missile missile that we fired?
That is correct.
Wow. That's another thing that I didn't know of when I was in Vietnam.
I don't
Very
think
good.
they had them yet.
No, they didn't. Very good. Tell me about your what you've been doing since your active duty time, or you were in the reserve, so you were doing it at the same time.
Right.
But what was that? You were
I was assigned. Actually, it was still assigned to what the Navy now calls the Maritime Security Force. I came back from the Gulf, stayed with them. I'm still actively in the reserves now. I'm in the individual ready reserves right now.
right.
Getting ready to retire. My command now is the Military Sea Lift Command, Port Security. So I'm just pretty much doing the same job, but now we're securing the ports that have already been stabilized.
Right.
We're just maintaining a presence
How
there.
about your civilian job? That's what I'm trying to find
Oh,
out.
my civilian job?
Yeah.
I'm a paramedic with the Nassau County Police Department.
Okay.
I've been there 30 years.
30 years.
30 years.
Wow. And Steve, what do you do? You're a policeman?
I'm a New York City police officer assigned at 34th Precinct.
Where's the 34th precinct?
Upper Washington Heights, everything north of the George Washington Bridge and Island of Manhattan.
Okay. All right.
He's got a good spot.
A good spot?
He's got a good spot.
It seems like there's a lot of things to do for a policeman in New York City.
Yes, yes. The
Yeah.
neighborhood itself that Joe's referring to where I work, it was one of the crack capitals back in the 80s.
Right.
I've been there since 1987. I've been assigned there.
Yeah.
And the neighborhood's definitely changed around.
It's good? It's
yes,
better now?
It's a much better place
Oh,
to
very
work.
good. Yeah. I just went to Queens County Veterans Court yesterday, and I really had my eyes open. It's very good there. They have the veterans monitors, like I am in Nassau County.
Mm-hmm.
They're brought up right with the accused in front of the judge to let the accused know he's not alone. It's a very nice situation they have there. Very good. Let's talk about the American Legion. Unfortunately, we don't have much time. What about the American Legion? You're the county commander.
I'm the county commander this year, yes.
What are you doing? What's the American Legion doing?
Well, this year our main goal is to increase membership as our World War II members start to pass on. Our numbers are dropping,
Yeah.
and we really need to get our membership back up for the veterans to get what they have, the GI Bill and those items. The American Legion has been a driving force for that since its beginning in 1918. We send representatives, actually the American Legion has representatives in Congress that make pitches to the Senate and to the House of Representatives to fund things for veterans, to try to get changes in the VA, the new VA system, try to improve on the care that some of the veterans are getting, try to improve on the traumatic brain injury that the newer vets are coming home from the
Right.
Middle East with.
Yeah. How about you? What's your job with the American Legion now that you're an ex-commander?
As a past commander, I'm also on part of Joe's advisory board. Joe's asked me to step in as his sergeant at arms.
Okay.
As a Marine, I have a lot of experience with marching and military ceremonies, so Joe asked me to help out, and I was very happy to help him
Oh,
out.
very good.
We first met each other in the American Legion about 6 years ago, and we've been friends ever since.
Oh, that's too bad. I mean, that's not too bad. That's interesting. Who does the American Legion donate money to? I mean, you must donate money.
On the county level, we have a few organizations we donate to. One would be Operation Comfort Warrior.
What's that?
That's actually was Steve's project a couple of years ago. He could tell you a lot more about Operation Comfort Warrior directly.
Okay.
Other than that, we have the National Emergency Fund, which actually is a fund that we donate to the national organization of the American Legion.
Right.
And in times of natural disaster or man-made disaster, members of the American Legion can go to the national level and request assistance, and they get funding.
Did the fund do anything for 9/11?
For 9/11, no, but it did a lot for American Legion personnel on Long Island here for
Right.
Sandy.
For Sandy?
For Sandy. They actually
Okay.
gave a large amount of funding to assist the veterans to rebuild after Sandy.
Okay. What about Comfort Warrior?
What Operation Comfort Warrior does, it's an organization or a committee itself funded by the American Legion. A lot of people are familiar with the Wounded Warrior Project.
Right.
And Wounded Warrior, it's a separate organization. For all monies that are donated to Operation Comfort Warrior, because the American Legion takes care of all the administrative costs of running the program, every dollar you give to Operation Comfort Warrior goes directly to our veterans.
That's very good.
It helps out the veterans that where the VA is able to do certain things for them. Some of the fundage is not available through the VA. Operation Comfort Warrior can take care of.
It's funny, I get a lot of mail from the organization that got the bad publicity, the
Wounded Warrior.
Wounded Warriors. And they have a shadow over them with the money they collect and the money they spend on themselves. But I don't get any mail from the American Legion as far as the Comfort Warriors.
That's why one of the reasons that we're actually here today to try to encourage some of our younger members to join, some of our younger veterans. Nassau County has one of the largest veterans populations in the entire nation.
Right.
There are thousands of veterans out there, and as kind of the face and look of the modern American Legion, what Joe and I are trying to do is we're trying to get our younger men and our younger women
Right.
that have served in the military since August 2nd of 1990, who are eligible to get VA benefits, who can register with the VA, who can join the American Legion organizations and find out about all those veterans benefits that are available to you.
Right.
As the largest veterans organization in Nassau County and probably in the nation, we're able to get information from Congress. We're able to make demands on Congress that other veterans organizations just can't do because they just don't have the manpower.
Right. Yeah. I noticed that I work for Congressman Swazi, as you know, and whenever something comes up from the American Legion, he pays attention to it. Yeah. Very good. Is there anything else that you can talk about? I think we only have about 5 minutes left.
If I could, I'd just like to mention, as was mentioned, I'm a veteran of Operation Desert Storm. Operation Desert Storm itself was one of the largest military buildups of veterans since the Vietnam conflict, or Vietnam War. Presently, there's an organization of Desert Storm veterans. There's about 4,000 of us that marched in Washington last year at the Memorial Day Parade. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a memorial built for those who were lost in Operation Desert Storm. If anybody, you can go on the website, it's desertstormmemorial.org to ask your congressman, and they're asking for monies to help build this memorial.
Yeah.
The memorial itself is going to be partially donated by the Kingdom of Kuwait, which was the sole purpose for us being there in Desert Storm, to liberate the Kuwait. They are going to donate some materials to build the monument. It's going to be with the rest of the monuments in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Once again, it's the desertstormmemorial.org. You just look on the website, it gives us a lot of information about that.
Yeah.
So we're not forgotten.
The Desert Storm Warriors, it doesn't seem right somehow that a monument be assigned to just them. I mean, since 1990 or 1989, we've been at war, and we're still at war. So does it seem to you that the veterans today in combat should also be remembered as the veterans back at Desert Storm?
Because we have the two separate conflicts, I believe that's why it was determined that there would be a Desert Storm Memorial.
Yeah.
Obviously, we never want to forget any of our men and women that have served and that are serving now
Yeah.
or have served and made the ultimate sacrifice.
The Suffolk County has a monument to veterans that have fought, and it says from 1990 to blank, so that when the current fighting is over for good, they'll put that date in there. So that, I think, would be a good way to do it.
That might be something we might want to do on the Nassau County level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Might be a project for us to work on this year with our
Right.
fellow veterans.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Joe, how about you? I know I want to mention Phil Streel's phone number.
Right.
At the end of the show, you'll see a bunch of numbers and names at the end of the show that are our credits. There'll be a phone number there for Phil Streel. He's the membership.
He's the membership officer this year.
Okay, so please watch the credits at the end of the show so you can see that number, and you can call up Phil and tell him you'd like to join an American Legion post. If you know where a post is in your neighborhood, unfortunately the post isn't open all the time.
That's correct.
So this phone number will be important, so you can call and he can introduce you to the post and tell you when it's open. But please call that number, okay?
Ed, can I just, even if they can even go by the American Legion, if there's a meeting going on, they could find that on the internet.
On the internet?
There's an American Legion webpage, AmericanLegion.org.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is-
AmericanLegion.org.
Nassau County AmericanLegion.org.
And just come
Okay.
down to, they have the list of meetings, come down to a meeting.
It's very good.
They'll talk to them that night.
Are all the posts on the list on the website?
Yes. All the posts listed on the website.
Very good. Very good. That's a good way to join. Check the website, and you'll find your post listed, so give them a call. Yeah, there'll also be a phone number on the website.
Correct.
Very good.
And one of the nice things about the American Legion is because we're such a large organization,
Right.
I live in Elmont. I belong to the Elmont Post. Joe lives in Baldwin. He belongs to the Malvern Post. There's no saying you actually have to join the American Legion Post
Right.
in the town you live in.
Okay.
You might want to specifically join it because you have more community members there with yourself, but there's no saying you have to. Each one of our individual posts, of the 50-plus posts we have in Nassau County, they all have something different to offer all veterans out there.
Okay. One thing I didn't ask you, did you get married while you were in the service?
I didn't. I was married already.
You were married already.
I was married already.
You were 30 years old, and you just got, when did you get married?
I got married when I joined the Nassau County Police Department in 1987.
And then you joined the Army, the Navy?
The Navy in 96. I was already married 9 years when I enlisted.
9 years.
Yeah, she wasn't happy.
I didn't think so. Boy.
No, actually, she was very supportive.
Really?
Yes, she was very supportive.
Okay. Well, she thought you were just joining the reserve.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Wow. She didn't know you'd be
Nah,
called up for active duty.
no, she didn't know, but she was very good with it.
Okay. Steve, how about you, quickly?
I was in the reserves myself when we got married, got engaged at the Marine Corps Ball. I got married when I was in the
Okay.
reserves, and 6 weeks later, my reserve unit got called up.
Very good.
So she was very supportive of both me on reservist and on active duty.
Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next month at the same time, the same channel. And thank you very much,
Thanks, Ed.
Joe.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Steve.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay. And there's the phone number. You can see the phone number. Pay attention to the phone number. Nassau County American Legion. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.